morning, my beautiful babies. I am your resident active advocate, and I had a brainwave. Yay! Now that we are out of the legal jargon, thank God, because that is neither my area of expertise nor is it my preference. Now we can start on a new series. I would like to introduce you today to our topic of discussion that's probably going to last, well, it's going to last more than 1 week. This one is. I'm going to be talking about portrayals of disability in literature. The oldest literature on Earth even has representations of disability and of social differences, physical differences, all these sorts of things going, human writing goes back at least 5,000 years, if not more. So literature itself is among the oldest forms of media, if not the oldest form of media. And some of the oldest portrayals of disability and its ramifications are in ancient scripture. I'm not going to be talking as much about scripture in this series because it's less relevant, I feel, to modern life than a lot of more consumable media is. So I've talked about portrayals of disability in the media, by which I meant basically on TV, cartoons, that sort of thing. Now I want to go back a bit further history-wise and talk about portrayals of disability in books and how they continue to inform our modern portrayals of disability. You can go as far back as the Mahabharata, which is a form of Hindu scripture. It is also the longest epic on Earth, and it is, I believe, 10 times the length of the Odyssey and the Iliad put together, and those are bricks by themselves. So in the Mahabharata, you see different portrayals of disability. The whole reason why, the word Mahabharata means Great War. The whole reason why said Great War takes place to begin with is because the king/prince Dhritarashtra is born blind. So that's portrayed as a bad thing. But then when he gets married, and yes, he is allowed to get married, his wife, as a sacrifice on her part, and to be his equal, renounces the gift of sight and goes around blindfolded for her entire life. So it's not exactly saying necessarily that disability itself is a bad thing. Disability could be something with which you were born, as Dhritarashtra was. He was born blind. But it's also something that you can acquire, as his wife. She didn't actually acquire a disability because she could have taken that blindfold off at any point, but it is a mark of her loyalty to him to not have done that. Now, Dhritarashtra and his familial line, they're portrayed as the bad guys, though, so that's where the nuance comes in there. But at the same time, other representations in Hinduism, there are statues, and probably a lot of you have seen these without recognizing them, or without realizing that you have seen them. There are statues of the gods stamping on or dancing on a dwarf that represents human ignorance. But at the same time, Lord Vishnu once incarnated as a dwarf to come and save humanity, because God only incarnates when there's big trouble going on down here, in accordance with Hindu belief. Anyway, so it goes even as far back as that, and the Mahabharata is much older than the Bible. But I want to talk about portrayals of disability in more modern media because, as I say, it's more relevant. But I just want you to understand how far back these roots and these nuances go. Neither in the Mahabharata nor in the Bible is disability ever claimed to be exclusively a bad thing or exclusively a good thing. There's nuance here. Generally, in Middle Eastern society, at least, you would have been ostracized if you had been born with a disability. I've discussed this before in our conversation on the quote moral model of disability. But Jesus himself, as portrayed in the Bible, does not look down upon people with disabilities. He helps them. And I know that that goes with the cure narrative, but unfortunately, in his society at the time, that would have been the only way in which a person with a disability could have been accepted back into society. As literature goes on from these points and stretches down now to the modern age, you still see cure narratives. You know, for anyone in this audience who's ever read The Secret Garden, we're going to get to that. Or has read Heidi, we're going to get to that. This entire series is going to talk about the nuance and the portrayal and all the different aspects of disability that can appear and have appeared in literature, primarily in children's literature. Because how do you start conditioning a person? You start them young. So children's literature can be both a powerful tool and a powerful weapon, unfortunately. Both of these things can be used in whatever way you want to use them, as a tool for bad or as a tool for good. You know, it all depends on your interpretation, but it also depends on the text itself. So that is what we are going to be discussing for the next, I don't know how long. It's going to take a while because this is a big series and a very big topic, and I encourage every single one of you, read. Reading increases your intelligence, increases your empathy, increases your vocabulary. Read. Please. Thank you. That is your PSA for the day from your resident English major, amongst other things. All right, so I will see you tomorrow to begin talking about disability in children's literature. Thank you for your lovely participation and attention. Fare thee well. Mwah. Bye. Yep. Button.